Our story begins in the Miyu district, located in the uninfected zone of Country M. The scene opens on a young man named Ayato Higumori who complains of being utterly bored. Ayato is a Class B Esper who wants to live a life of leisure. Just then, another young man appears, telling him he should just go hunt a chimera to cure his boredom. For a moment, Ayato thinks about dragons, but he quickly refuses, saying he's perfectly fine being lazy. The other young man, whose name is Ririto Nagarisa and is Ayato's childhood friend, argues that with Ayato's powers, he could probably rule the entire Miyu district. Ririto points out that even though he and a man named Kazuha are also Class B, Kazuha is living at the top of his game while Ayato is living like a normal guy. Ayato replies that there's nothing wrong with living peacefully at the end of the century. "What's so good about this place?" Ririto asks, frustrated. "Xi'an's men are mocking you. If you want revenge, I'll help you myself." And the scene changes. We see people begging for their lives, pleading to be spared. A man with a scar on his nose declares that they should all be punished as they are all suspects. However, a blonde-haired man tells them not to enter the security area. Hidden nearby, we see a hooded woman clutching a child. She appears to have an injury on her neck. Suddenly, she grabs the child and runs in desperation. From a vantage point above, Ririto and Ayato are watching. Ririto grows concerned for the woman and child and tries to go help, but as he takes a step forward, Ayato stops him. Ayato warns him not to do anything, explaining that Xi'an's men enjoy intimidating the weak, and that many ordinary people who were cast out have been devoured by chimeras. The blonde-haired man below spots them and yells, "What are you idiots staring at?" Later that night at a camp, Ririto is furious, complaining that Xi'an is doing whatever he wants. Ayato simply tells him not to cause trouble. Another man scoffs, "Just because you have supernatural powers doesn't mean you're special." Someone else adds, "Those who don't obey Xi'an end up dead." At that, Ayato asks, "Who should they obey, Xi'an or me?" He then picks up a can from the ground, crushes it with one hand, and throws it into the men's soup. Ririto starts laughing at their shocked faces, remarking that they seem to be angry every single day. At that moment, the same blonde-haired man begins intimidating someone again. This time, it's the woman with the child. He claims they are possibly infected. His friend urges him to just kill them both now. He rips the woman's hood off, sees the wound on her neck, and declares, "This girl really is infected." The scene shifts briefly to a woman in chains, wondering if the mother and child are truly infected or not. Just as the blonde man is about to punch the woman in the face, Ayato grabs his arm, stating, "Neither of them has mutated yet." The blonde man retorts that people bitten by a chimera mutate and die within 3 days, and that Ayato has no way of knowing if they're infected. The mother, crying desperately, insists they are not infected. She explains that the bruises are from her husband who used to beat her, and begs everyone to believe her. She adds that she has a daughter who is running a high fever, and if things continue like this, her child will likely die. Ayato then declares that he will take them both to his tent. If anything happens during the night, he says, "I will take full responsibility for them." Xi'an's men question how he can take responsibility for them. What if she suddenly transforms and bites everyone there? But they reluctantly agree. "If you insist, then you can take them." Ririto asks the men if what happened earlier wasn't enough for them. However, the woman who was previously in chains appears and says they are not infected. This woman is Anna Sumeragi. Xi'an's men are annoyed by her presence, muttering that she probably has healing powers. Another man in the background smirks and says she's just the boss's lover, but Anna insists again, "I'm telling the truth, they are not infected." Anna is a Class C Esper with a psychic healing ability. "If you don't want to believe me," she says, "the decision is yours." Ayato tells her she can say whatever she wants. Ririto then mutters to Ayato that Anna and the others only started speaking up after he stood up to them. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the tension. What is all this commotion? Everyone freezes in fear. The speaker is Xian, the next leader of the Miyu district, and a Class C Esper with an assault ability. Smiling, Xian notes that it's Ayato causing trouble again. He asks Ayato if he's pretending to be a hero and demands that he kneel before him and beg for forgiveness, promising to serve him like a god. With a serious look, Ayato asks, "And what if I don't want to?" "If you don't," Xian sneers, "you'll get a one-way ticket straight to hell." Xian's condescending tone makes Ayato laugh. Ririto grows worried, knowing that if Ayato's true skill level is exposed, it will all be over. But Ayato just smiles at him, reassuring him that everything is fine. At that moment, Xian lunges at Ayato. "Is all that confidence just for show?" he yells, landing a solid punch that sends Ayato flying. Xian's henchmen begin to mock Ayato, calling him all talk and wondering why Xian was so bothered by such a useless guy. The blonde-haired man says he wants a piece of the action too, but just then Ayato gets back on his feet, remarking, "That punch wasn't half bad." Enraged, Xian attacks again, this time with a knife. Ayato dodges all of his strikes and then grabs Xian's knife-wielding wrist. But Xian breaks free and manages to stab Ayato in the arm. Ayato looks down at his wound and says, "Using a knife against an unarmed opponent? You must be truly desperate, Xian." Terrified, Xian asks him if he's some kind of alien. In that instant, Ayato kicks a bonfire, sending a spray of embers toward Xian. As Xian dodges the embers, Ayato lands a powerful kick, sending him flying. "An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth," Ayato says. The enraged Xian shouts that he won't let Ayato or the woman live, and he orders all his henchmen to attack Ayato at once. However, Anna steps in front of Ayato, telling everyone to stop. Xian mocks her, telling her not to get so worked up and act so important just because she slept with the boss once. He sneers that Ayato's attempt to save the woman is a death sentence. Ayato's expression turns deadly serious, and lightning begins to spark from his hand. But Ririto grabs his arm, pleading with him to calm down. "If you keep this up," he warns, "your true power will definitely be exposed." Just then, the leader of the camp appears. His name is Kanzawa Atangi, and he is a rank B ability user. Xian immediately reports to the chief. "This bastard Ayato conspired with that woman to start a rebellion." Anna insists it's all a misunderstanding and begs Kanzawa not to believe Xian. Ayato thinks to himself that the woman is indeed Kanzawa's lover, but he wonders why she still seems so afraid of him. Kanzawa states that Xian will be the next leader, and seeing him beaten like this damages his reputation. He shoves Anna aside, saying he's heard Ayato's name before. "Those who disobey my orders are simply killed," he states coldly. "Xian was targeting me," Ayato counters, "and those two girls behind me are innocent." "Are you serious?" Kanzawa asks, then orders for the two to be allowed to leave. Ayato thanks the chief and says he will take them with him. Xian protests, telling the chief he can't let them go, but Kanzawa declares that someone has to take responsibility for the commotion. Ririto warns Ayato, "The punishments here are notoriously inhumane. Don't go too far, my friend." But Ayato replies that once the girls are safe, Kanzawa can punish him however he wants. He truly doesn't care. "Very well," the chief says. "However, there is one other disobedient person here." He looks down at Anna, who is kneeling before him. Then, without mercy, he slashes her face with his knife. Ayato realizes that Kanzawa only cares about his reputation and nothing else. To him, there is no good or evil. He can't let a man like this become their leader. "I did this so you couldn't communicate with the outside world before," Kanzawa says to Anna. "But it seems that wasn't enough for you." Ayato notices Anna looking in his direction, and he realizes she is silently pleading for his help. The scene changes. The woman and her daughter are now in Ayato's tent. He tells her it's a safe place and urges her to give her daughter medicine immediately and get some rest. The woman asks what he will do now since they were the ones who got him into all this trouble. He tells her that once her wounds have healed, she should leave this place as quickly as possible, otherwise those men will come after her again. He then gets up and walks outside asking if they are ready for him. Ririto asks which floor they are taking Ayato to, begging for it to be any floor but the 5th. The scene then cuts to the 5th floor where Ayato is being tormented in an electric chair. Changing scenes again, we see Ririto thinking about his friend. "Stay strong, Ayato," he thinks. "I'm going to help you." The scene returns to a completely exhausted Ayato. As he looks up at the ceiling, he sees a girl's eye peering through a hole. She says something through the hole, but he can't hear her. Then she drops several pieces of paper to the floor. One of the papers that lands on the ground is a plea for help. "No way," Ayato thinks. "I can't beat Kanzawa." But another paper reads, "You're hiding your powers." Ayato thinks that it's not about being strong or not. He just wants to spend his time in peace. He apologizes, saying he isn't ready for such an intense journey, and begs Anna to stop this as it's impossible for him. Frustrated, the girl on the other side of the ceiling falls to her knees, saddened. Ayato thinks about how they are using him to power the city 3 times a day. If he doesn't find any food, he will surely die. The scene shifts to the blonde-haired man who is kicking Ririto out of a cabin. "What fucking arrogance!" he yells. "Still sleeping in a tent. You're just trash without Ayato around." Another man adds that without supernatural powers, his only choice is to work for them. "Who said I don't have supernatural powers?" Ririto asks. "Disappear from my sight. Now." The 2 men in front of him are startled, their eyes turning red. Ririto walks between them and runs off. A moment later, however, he collapses to his knees, trembling. Suddenly, a boy appears, remarking that even espers die if they're hungry. He offers a piece of bread to Ririto. Ririto refuses, saying the boy hasn't eaten properly either and should eat it himself. But the boy notes, "Your ability is mind control, but it's useless on an empty stomach. They'll wake up soon." Just then, the men snap out of their trance. "You're so screwed, Ririto," they yell. Ririto grabs the boy by his shirt. "We have to run as fast as we can." But the boy tells him he knows a place to hide. They run and hide behind some containers as the men search for them but can't find them. Ririto asks if the boy always hides here. The boy says yes, explaining that this is his secret base and there's no place in the camp he doesn't know. Ririto then asks how many prisons there are and where they keep people who have committed crimes. "Are you trying to help Ayato?" the boy asks. "The guy who stood up to the next Class C chief." "That's exactly it," Ririto confirms. The boy stands up and says he'll help. Ririto tells him it's too dangerous outside, but the boy with a grim look says, "I live alone, so I know very well how to survive here." Ririto realizes he never stopped to think about it, but the boy had never told him his name. As the boy leaves, the container door opens. The boy had called over the 2 men. "The traitor is right here," he says, and he was planning to break the other traitor out of prison. The boy simply adds, "This is the law of survival at the end of the century." They capture Ririto, and Ririto realizes that the boy only handed him over in exchange for food. Just then, Ririto gives something back to the boy. He says he was in a hurry and had grabbed it earlier, adding, "You're still growing, so I'm giving this back. Eat a lot." He returns the food the boy had given him, but the boy slaps the food away. "Who would eat trash like that?" he scoffs. "That was just bait to lure you in. I did this so you would understand how things are on this side. You need to stop resisting the chief." "Ayato is my best friend," Ririto replies, "and he's a really strong guy. If you were on our side, you would never die." The boy begins to wonder if there really is a way to survive without obeying their rules. The scene then returns to Ayato. It's now daytime, and he realizes they are planning to starve him to death. We see his face is completely gaunt. Suddenly, a part of the ceiling opens and the boy appears. "Are you Ayato?" he asks. "Who are you?" Ayato asks weakly. "Don't worry about that," the boy says. "Just eat this quickly." He shoves several French fries into Ayato's mouth. The boy explains, "I heard the chief left Xian in charge of you. You'll definitely starve to death here, so right now you don't need to worry about who I am. Just eat as fast as you can." Suddenly they hear men's voices. "Did you hear something? Let's go check it out." "This is bad," the boy says. "Someone's coming." He climbs up through the opening and escapes. Ayato is left confused, trying to understand who that boy was. Before he left, the boy had said, "Ririto told me to become your friend. He said if I did, I could eat as much as I want." The chief's henchmen arrive and see the hole in the ceiling. They spot the boy who gets stuck while trying to escape. Xian is waiting for him. "Get him," he orders his men. They grab the boy, beat him, and then throw him into the same cell as Ririto. "Now you can starve to death in there," Xian sneers. Ririto says, "This happened to you even after you sold me out yesterday. Are you on our side now?" The boy gets up and tells him to shut up, saying he doesn't trust his story much. Xian goes to Ayato's cell. Filled with rage, Ayato asks, "What did you do to that child?" "That child was going to die anyway," Xian says dismissively, "so you don't need to worry about it." He grabs Ayato by the neck. "I was planning to kill you too, but unfortunately the chief is giving you another chance." The scene changes. They are now outside, and Xian orders Ayato to kneel. The chief explains that the delivery point for supplies from District C seems to be wrong, and orders Ayato to go and retrieve them. Another man remarks that the number of chimeras is increasing every day. "The redder the map gets, the more dangerous it is," he explains, and District C is currently pink. Another man says he heard there are 3 chimeras there, and that no one has ever come back alive. Someone else asks what will happen to the supplies there since Ayato is the only one who could get them. Xian tells the chief they shouldn't waste this chance. Ayato then proposes a deal to the chief. "If I retrieve the supplies, you will leave all my friends in peace." He points to the boy and Ririto, who are trapped in a cell. The chief scoffs, "You're not coming back alive." Others add that not even 3 Class C espers could handle a low-level chimera, questioning if he really thinks he can survive against 3 of them. Another man laughs in Ayato's face, saying he definitely won't return alive from this mission. At that moment, one of the men is with Anna, saying the chief's wounds have been healed. The chief grabs Anna's face. "You did a great job," he says. Then without mercy, he tears out her tongue again. Seeing this, Ayato's heart fills with hatred. "I'm leaving for my mission now," he says. "Feed my friends until I return." "If you die," the chief replies, "there's no need to keep them alive." The scene changes. We see Ayato driving a truck through a field. He thinks to himself that there are no supplies here either. He's been driving for a long time and wonders if those guys lost all the supplies in the middle of the forest. He eventually reaches the road that leads directly into the forest. Ayato reasons that no matter how lost the delivery point was, the supplies must be around here somewhere. There's no way they would have just dumped all of them in the middle of the forest. In that case, there's a more likely possibility. The scene flashes back to the boy asking Xian why he's so happy. Xian replies that he'll never have to see a certain person's face again, so he's very happy. Ayato remembers that Xian was smiling when he was leaving. He had watched his face in the rearview mirror. As Ayato enters the forest, he hears a noise. He thinks that chimeras move in packs and wonders if they will all attack him at once. But he concludes that in his current situation, it's not worth worrying about right now. He continues driving the truck through the forest. After driving for a bit, he says he's getting close. Suddenly, the truck skids in the middle of the forest. When he looks to the side, he sees something moving incredibly fast. "That bastard Xian prepared a big present for me," Ayato mutters. Suddenly, Ayato notices something in front of him and throws himself from the moving truck. After falling into the forest and watching his truck crash into a tree, he says, "I'm starting to understand. If I can set up the GPS, a drone will come to pick up the supplies. All I need to do is follow that drone back." He hopes that Kanzawa hasn't given up on these supplies. Just then, Shion dodges something that flies past his face at high speed. When he looks up, he sees a creature trying to attack him. The creature stops in front of him with a threatening look. Ayato wonders if there's a chimera here. Without a second thought, the chimera monster lunges at Ayato. Ayato pulls out his knife and strikes at the creature, hitting his mark, striking the chimera's neck. It falls to the ground, dead. Ayato realizes he'll have to drag all the supplies back himself. He starts clearing some fallen trees, but then he looks up and sees 4 chimeras observing him from the treetops. He remembers the men talking about how District C was a pink area, meaning there should have been 3 chimeras there. He begins to realize something is very strange. Chimeras move in packs, but there were only 2 packs here. Furthermore, these monsters aren't from District C. They were driven out of their original territory and ended up here. The chimeras start chasing Ayato. He uses a tree to launch himself into the air, brings his knife down and buries it in the skull of one of the chimeras. But the others are still behind him. Just then, a drone with a camera appears at the top of the forest. The camera detects 4 chimeras in front of Ayato. He prepares to fight as 3 of them attack at once. He leaps, slashes the neck of one, and jumps over its body. He then wraps his legs around another chimera's head and snaps its neck. But there are still many chimeras left. He notes that in this territory the chimeras aren't coordinating well. He decides to observe them while looking for an opening to finish them off. Suddenly, he starts to feel sick and realizes the cut on his arm is from a toxin. He thinks that a normal human would have been killed instantly by the poison in the chimera's blood. The chimeras continue to attack, and Ayato defends himself with his knife. Just as one of them is about to pierce his eye, he lets out a powerful shout that pushes them all back. He then grabs 2 of them by the neck at the same time and slams them into the ground with so much force that it creates a small crater and cracks the earth. Immediately after, he falls to his knees and then collapses face first onto the ground. He realizes this is very bad for him. If he uses his ability and strength on an empty stomach, he can unfortunately only last about 10 seconds. He thinks he can't even stand up anymore and that this is probably the end for him, but he forces himself up again. "Not yet," he thinks. "I can't die here. Ririto and the others are waiting for me." He runs toward the chimeras, yelling for them to die now, and grabs 2 of them, running with them in his arms. Suddenly, he steps on a trap in the middle of the forest, and all 3 of them fall into a pit. After falling into the hole, the chimeras begin to get up. Ayato grabs a rock and smashes it on one of their heads, finishing it off for good. But when he looks up to the top of the pit, he sees there are still 2 more. To them, he is the only prey there, so they probably won't let him escape so easily. He realizes he has no other choice but to use the chimera's blood to camouflage himself with its scent. One of the chimeras appears at the edge of the pit, observing what's happening. Ayato thinks that chimeras have terrible eyesight and only identify their own kind by smell. He prays that his tactic will work. At that moment, the 2 chimeras leave. His plan has succeeded. The scene returns to the camp. Shion reports that as far as he can see on the thermal cameras, there are no more survivors. He tells the chief, "I told you from the beginning this would work." The 2 of them begin to celebrate Ayato's death. But Ririto insists, "There's no way Ayato is dead. He's a very strong person, so he wouldn't die like that." From the prison, looking through the window, Anna also watches, saddened for Ayato. While all the chief's henchmen are celebrating and drinking, Kanzawa wonders if the boy really is dead. He was their last hope of getting out of there alive. The blonde-haired man approaches Shion and says that only 2 chimeras escaped. "How are we going to explain this to the chief?" he asks. Shion says that Ayato was only rank C, so there's no way he could have killed so many chimeras. He mentions that the chief of the Choe ward Gendo feeds humans to the chimeras he keeps, and they manage to borrow some because they are in the same unit as before. To think that all but 2 chimeras were exterminated. Shion says that the chief of the Choe ward and his chief are like cats and dogs. If his chief finds out about this, they will surely be killed. But since Ayato is dead, he will never find out. While Ayato is pretending to be dead, a drop of water falls on his face. The scene changes. It's now night and it's raining heavily on Ayato. He sits up confused, wondering where he is. He then remembers falling into the pit with some chimeras and wonders how long he was asleep in there and if his friends are safe. He tries to climb out of the pit, but he has no strength. He slips on one of the rocks and falls back into the hole. He apologizes for not being able to keep his promises and becomes frustrated, thinking the worst has probably happened to his friends. The scene changes to Ririto, who is working carrying 2 buckets. One of the men kicks him, knocking over the buckets. "Don't come near me," he sneers. "Since you're an ability user, you should try to fight back. But since you haven't eaten any real food, you can't even kill an insect." The men start saying that his master is completely dead. Enraged, Ririto gets up and throws a leaf in one of the men's faces. "Shut your mouths," he yells. "Ayato is definitely not dead." But the men knock him to the ground and start kicking him. The boy who betrayed him before calls him an idiot, but the man serving the food hits the boy on the head. "What are you looking at? Come over here and share that." Smiling, the boy says, "I'll throw some meat to you." The man says that's exactly what he should do. But the boy had managed to steal some food. He goes over to Ririto and offers him the food. "You don't need to justify yourself here," he says. "It's no surprise who lives or dies in this place." But Ririto slaps the boy's hand away. Confused, the boy asks, "What are you trying to do now?" Ririto explains. "Before the disaster, Ayato and I were best friends. After the disaster, he was the only friend I had. Someone like you could unfortunately never understand that." The boy kicks the food in front of him again. "You're right," he says. "I really don't understand. But if you truly believe your friend isn't dead, then don't greet him as if he were a corpse." Quickly, Ririto picks up the food and sits down. He says that he's always acting like an annoying brat. Anna watches Ririto while she is healing one of the men's legs. But she says she no longer has the strength to use her healing. She thinks that if she had food, she could regenerate her severed tongue with her healing magic. But food is becoming increasingly scarce in this place. Cheyenne slaps her across the face. "You just healed 3 people and you're already out of strength." "I can't heal without food," she says, "and the food keeps running out." He grabs her by the neck. "Are you talking back to me with arrogance? We don't need trash like you here. If you can't heal, then live without a tongue for the rest of your life. And if you want to die quickly, I'll throw you into Sector C." He adds, "I've been named the next chief, so I am the one who is above everyone else." The scene returns to Ayato, who is waking up in the daylight. The first thing he says is that he is getting incredibly hungry. Driven by instinct, he picks up one of the chimera corpses to eat it. But just as he's about to take the first bite, he realizes he shouldn't do this. A chimera's body is toxic from head to toe. Even as a corpse, it doesn't rot, and it's a deadly poison for all humans. But he thinks he can't worry about that now. He takes a bite of the chimera's flesh, telling himself that Ririto and his other friends are waiting for him. The moment he eats the chimera's meat, he screams in agonizing pain. After a while, he falls asleep again. 8 hours later, he wakes up confused, wondering if he is still alive. Suddenly, he feels an incredible energy surging through his body. He can't believe how recovered he is. He prepares to climb the pit, but he scales it effortlessly, jumping from one side to the other. He lands outside the hole. He wonders if this is the power of a rank A ability user. Surviving the toxins of a chimera and fusing with it was something completely different from anything he had ever seen. But thinking about it, he had never heard of anything like this, and wonders if there could be any side effects. Regardless, he has to get back as quickly as possible, as all his friends could be in trouble. The scene returns to the camp where everyone is working. Xian's henchmen continue to beat anyone who does a poor job, while Ririto remains depressed and continues to be humiliated. Xian and his men keep mocking everyone there. The blonde-haired man says that the brat is acting arrogant with his look and tells his men to bring him over. He kicks a can right into Ririto's face and says that Ririto didn't show up for work yesterday, asking if he has a problem with the job he gave him. Ririto says nothing. The blonde-haired man slaps him on the head. "The boss is talking to you, so you'd better answer if you don't want to die." Xian adds that his little brother, Ayato, is already dead, and if he keeps acting this way, he'll be the next to be killed. One of the henchmen grabs another boy who pleads for them to let him go, saying he did nothing. Xian says that just being friends with Ayato is enough to make him guilty. Worthless people with no abilities can be killed anywhere, anytime. From the ground, Ririto says, "You're really obsessed with a kid who betrayed you just once." "There are people looking for Ayato's corpse right now," Xian says. "We're all going to bury that guy together, so you don't need to worry." "Ayato is not dead," Ririto yells, grabbing Xian by the shirt in a rage, but he quickly collapses to the ground, exhausted from hunger. Xian picks up a piece of wood. "I'm going to kill you right now," he says. But just as Xian is about to strike him, the piece of wood flies out of his hand, and he is hit by a powerful blow. Xian crashes into one of his henchmen and hits a wall. When he opens his eyes, he can't believe who he's seeing. He realizes that the person standing in front of him is Ayato himself. "How the hell are you still alive?" he asks. Everyone around them wonders if they are seeing a ghost, as it was impossible for him to have survived so many chimeras. No one there had ever defeated 3 chimeras. Suddenly, one of the men becomes happy, shouting, "All the supplies are here! He really recovered all the supplies and came back unharmed." They all pick Ayato up and toss him in the air, calling him their savior god. In the middle of the celebration, Kanzawa appears. "The hero has finally returned," he says, applauding him. Xian is horrified. This can't be true. It has to be a ghost. It's impossible for him to have survived those circumstances. He thinks that the man had said something about Sector C, and he still can't believe it. When Ririto sees Ayato, he runs to hug his friend, crying. "I always believed you wouldn't die," he says. The little boy, overjoyed, exclaims that he really made it back alive, even though there were 3 chimeras in Sector C. But Xian says, "What you're saying is nonsense. That's impossible." Smiling, Ayato asks Xian, "Why are you so aggressive? Nothing went wrong on my mission. Everything was as planned." Ayato then asks Xian if the information that there were 3 chimeras was incorrect. Xian realizes that he has discovered his plan and stammers, No, there was nothing wrong." Kanzawa begins to notice that Xian is acting very strangely. The scene changes. It's now night. Ayato explains, "The moment I was in front of the 2 chimeras, the 3 of us fell into a trap. I really thought I was dead at that moment, and there was nothing more I could do." The people start asking what he did then. One of them asks if he defeated those 2 chimeras. Smiling, Ayato says, "I managed to defeat some of them." "What do you mean, some?" the man asks. "There were only 3 chimeras there." When Xian hears this conversation, he becomes terrified that his plan will be discovered. The men are impressed with Ayato, calling him incredible, calling him boss, and saying he is the only one who could face several chimeras at once alone. Kanzawa says they will now listen to the hero's story. But Xian wonders what the purpose of listening to his story is, as he might not have even seen a chimera. At that moment, Ayato smiles and says that Xian should know better than him whether he encountered chimeras or not. Ayato then tells Kanzawa, "The chief doesn't seem to know everything, so right now I will explain the minute details to him." Desperate Xian tells Ayato to stop it now. Don't be arrogant just because you managed to defeat a few chimeras, he says. But Ayato replies that defeating the chimeras wasn't the most important thing since he brought back the supplies. Shion points out, the truck was destroyed and there are no combat marks on your body. You're just acting tough even though you didn't encounter any chimeras on the way. The chief says it doesn't matter if he defeated the chimeras or not. The important thing is that he brought the supplies back. He asks Shion why he is so obsessed with the chimera part. Ririto interrupts. That's exactly it. Shion was monitoring Sector C with a thermal camera. No one else saw it, only him. So why was he lying that Ayato was dead at that moment? Shion thinks to himself that the chief of the Choei district sent a large number of chimeras as promised, and he can't let his chief ever find out. But Kanzawa says, "You've been acting very strangely since Ayato returned." "What's going on with you, Cheyenne, to make you act so strangely?" Just as Shion is about to speak to the chief, Ayato touches him. "It was just a misunderstanding," he says. "It was very cold in the forest, so my body temperature probably dropped a lot. That's exactly why Shion didn't see me on the camera." Stammering Shion agrees. "Yes, that's exactly why I thought Ayato was dead." Smiling, Kanzawa says, "In any case, you did a great job. What kind of reward do you want right now?" Ayato says that recovering the supplies was not easy at all. "If the chief trusts me, I would like to be responsible for managing the camp's supplies." Shion exclaims that they would never let Ayato do that. Ayato explains, "The World Health Organization, or WHO, provides 136 units of supplies every month. But recently, more than 30 camps have had problems with their supply delivery points. I believe this situation is getting worse, and there may be more delivery errors in the future. But I already have a track record of defeating chimeras and recovering supplies, so it's the perfect job for me." Shion insists they won't allow it, but Kanzawa tells him to be quiet. He says to Ayato, "Very well then, I will leave this role to you." He hands over the supply pass and Ayato thanks him. "However," the chief adds, "there is one condition. Collecting the supplies is also your job. And if something like this happens again, you will be the only one who dies here." Ririto urges his friend to think carefully about what he's saying, but Ayato says he has already thought about it. "This is my right and my duty." The chief declares, "Ayato has spoken well. Everyone salute Ayato Higumori." Shion thinks to himself that this was the perfect opportunity for Ayato to get rid of him. But why on earth did he save his skin? Whatever Ayato's plan is, he has to put an end to it as soon as possible. With that, Ayato and Ririto head to their new quarters with the little boy watching them from a distance. Ririto remarks that it's much bigger than Shion's place. Ayato says that from now on they will live there. Ririto, with a funny face, says, "If we get rich, our friendship will always be the same." Ayato replies that he will definitely take advantage of that. But Ririto gets serious. "The most important thing now is that I need to talk to you." "Why the long face all of a sudden?" Ayato asks. Ririto says, "I already know that Kanzawa didn't want you to come back alive. It's not like Kanzawa didn't know what Shion was claiming. In fact, he simply ignored what Shion was saying." Ayato just opens a can and drinks it. Then calmly he says, "I already knew all of that. It looked like a gift of power, but it was actually the opposite. It was probably a trap." "Then why on earth did you accept it?" Ririto asks. "When those guys thought you were dead, they even threw a party to celebrate." But Ayato asks Ririto, "What do you think I saw there in Sector C?" Ririto replies, "Probably chimeras." "Exactly," Ayato says, "but not just 3, 8 chimeras." Hearing this, Ririto is horrified, unable to believe what he's hearing. He starts to think Shion was convinced Ayato was dead, so there were actually 5 more remaining. He wonders how Shion could have done this. Ayato says he was expecting all of this, and that's why he needs power to bet against Cheyenne. He then asks Ayato if he has any injuries on his body. Ayato says he has none, but Ririto doesn't believe he's unhurt and starts touching Ayato's shoulder. Laughing, Ayato asks what he's doing as he is less injured than anyone there. Ririto says he was just worried about him. He may be rank A, but... At that moment, Ririto thinks a little more, processing the data in his brain. When he finally reflects on it, he lets out a scream in the middle of everyone. Ayato covers his ears. "Shut up. You're yelling too much." But Ririto says, "If this is true, it's really crazy. There's only a handful of rank A users in the entire world. Did you meet some mysterious sage in Sector C?" Ayato explains that when he was on the verge of death, he was so hungry that without thinking he ate chimera meat. He ended up merging with the chimera's poison. Now at times he can use a rank A ability. Ririto is so happy he says he'll be carried for life now. Suddenly, Ayato notices someone there. "Who's there?" he asks. Ririto says, "It's him again," and throws a stone at the person. "I was trying to help that kid, but he reprimanded me and now he won't stop spying on us." But Ayato tells him to let the kid go, saying he's a good boy. "That kid came into my cell smiling and brought me food. Because of that, Shion beat him badly." Ririto asks if he's really talking about that kid. He then begins to understand that's exactly why he was sent to the cell he was in. He apologizes to the boy. Ron, the proud boy, says he doesn't need his apology. Survival is the law there. But Ririto says he was talking about noble attitudes and good things. Annoyed, the boy tells him to stop messing with his hair. At that moment, he sees Anna being pushed by one of the men who tells her to get out of there. Ayato, looking at her, thinks, "Thank God she's alive." Ririto remarks that it seems the girl has been through hell, but the boy says not to even think about helping her as that girl belongs to Kanzawa. The scene changes to 1 month later. Ririto reports that the inventory check of drinking water is complete. Ayato tells him he can leave the rest to him and go eat. Ririto says goodbye, saying he's going to drink all night. Entering a warehouse, Ayato is checking all the supplies and notices an open bag of chips on the floor. He then sees a little thief there eating the chips. When he sees who it is, he realizes it's Anna. She apologizes, saying she was very hungry and couldn't control herself, but Ayato tells her to relax, that it's just him. He asks Anna why she is there like that. Opening her mouth, he sees her tongue has grown back. "You also have a very beautiful voice," he says. Anna says she entered silently and begs him to let her go. He asks if she was trying to escape. "Lately, the supply numbers aren't adding up. Were you stockpiling food to try to run away?" She thinks that the boy noticed everything she was doing, and yet he didn't say anything to anyone. But she runs off, saying it's none of his business. She thinks to herself that she can't drag him into more trouble. But he runs after her and grabs her. "Of course it's my business. Come to my tent tomorrow. I can give you some food. And how were you planning to survive alone?" The scene changes. A man is looking for something in the warehouse. He wonders where it is, saying the alcohol should definitely be kept there somewhere. Ayato appears with a bottle, asking if he was looking for this. The man says that's exactly what he was looking for, but his expression changes when he realizes who is in front of him. Ayato tells him to tell Shion that swapping Kanzawa's drink and then accusing him won't work anymore. He then kicks the man, sending him flying out of there. Changing to Shion, he says that everyone is a bunch of idiots who ruined everything. The man then says the shift system is perfect and there's no chance for them to alter that drink. Another says he monitors everything daily and there's no way to steal. The man then says they were caught yesterday, and that guy told him to tell Shion that all this was useless. Shion throws a can at the man's head, asking if he's starting to regret what he was doing. He says that today he will handle everything himself, but the man says he already knows they were planning something. Shion gets even angrier. Since Ayato said it was useless, he'll give him something very surprising. He opens a box, and inside is a pistol. One of his henchmen says the chief ordered them to collect all the weapons. "Exactly," Shion says. And do you know what will happen when he finds Ayato's tent now? The scene changes again. The little boy says he's very bored at the moment. Ririto's unit doesn't take him to the warehouse, so he's sure everyone there is suspicious of him. But Ayato tells him he's talking nonsense and asks if he doesn't know that place is very dangerous. The little boy then asks if Ayato is waiting for someone. Ayato is a little speechless, but says it's not like he's waiting for a girl or anything like that. Smiling, the little boy says there's a food distribution today, so he'll eat there and Ayato can relax. Ayato says goodbye to the boy, thinking that the kid is much smarter than he thought. Ayato thinks that even with healing abilities, Anna has no means to protect herself, and the power she possessed was simply too great. At that moment, Ayato hears a noise and gets up. "Who's there?" he asks. Anna appears, saying she only has 10 minutes because after that her supervisors will show up. Ayato takes her by the hand. "This way," he says. He leads her to a table full of food, saying he has a lot of experience with this. Anna is impressed because she has never seen so much food in front of her, at least not that she could eat. Ayato asks Anna how many people are brought to her to treat every day. She says it's about 5 or 6, not including special cases, as most are people captured or punished for something. If they are caught by chimeras, they usually end up dead. Ayato asks if they are attacked by chimeras. Is she sure they will die? Anna says it's not always like that. She says that as a thank you, she will heal him for the food he gave her. Ayato toasts with her and says he's counting on her for that. Smiling, Anna says he can leave all those functions to her. Hidden Cheyenne is watching everything that's happening. "This time," he says, "I'll make sure to kill him once and for all." In the background, Ayato asks, "When you finish healing, will you cut your own tongue?" This leaves Cheyenne shocked. Anna replies yes, and that's why they put poison in the food from time to time. Ayato thinks that he knew it from the beginning. He then asks Anna if she wants to help him with his escape plan. Anna gets serious, saying they are already protecting 2 people, and if the number increases, it will only get worse. But if they can escape, they could surely live freely. At this, Cheyenne starts laughing. "You won't die the way you want. I'll be the one to kill you both." Ayato gets up, saying it's time for her to go. But he says that until now he has avoided getting involved in the power struggles as he was hiding his abilities. But he realized something: if he just keeps watching from a distance, nothing will change there. With a serious expression, Ayato says she can count on him for anything she wants. Impressed and emotional, Anna wonders if she is his friend. Then she runs off, saying thank you to Ayato. The scene changes to 1 month later. Ririto is lying against a tree, very happy. "It would be great if every day could be as peaceful as this one," he says. The boy remarks that with the absence of Cheyenne and the others, the place seems really calm. Ayato suggests they visit her after so long. At that moment, Anna arrives very happy, wishing everyone a good morning and asking if they slept well. Smiling, Ayato says she finally decided to show up. Ririto says that finally Anna can come here with them too, as if it were a natural thing she always did. The little boy then grabs Anna by the arm, saying they should go eat soon. Smiling, Anna says yes, but first the little boy needs to praise her appearance. Ririto starts pinching the little boy's cheeks, and he complains that it hurts a lot. But Ayato thinks to himself that it's been over a month since Cheyenne has been quiet, which is really strange for him. The scene changes to Cheyenne and his henchman. The man in the red shirt is looking on worriedly. Cheyenne says he will destroy everything completely, and that it's a good time to spread that information he has. The blonde-haired man says it's the best time for it. The scene changes to a week after the turn of the year. Anna says it's the first time she's seen snow after the collapse of the world at the end of the century. Ayato says the Earth's climate has become very messed up and summer has lasted for 10 months. But smiling Ayato says that the snow has finally fallen. At that moment, Anna throws a snowball at Ayato's face. "A new war has begun," she says, "but it's a snowball war." Anna runs off and the two begin to play a snowball fight. After a while, they lie down tired, and Ayato says Anna is a pest. Suddenly, Anna starts sneezing. Ayato gets up and goes to a stall to buy some ramen for her. The lady says the planet's climate has been very unstable lately and tells Ayato to be very careful out there. Ayato agrees with her, saying he understands. Anna then asks Ayato why she told him that, to him. Ayato says he doesn't really know. The lady then explains that Ayato always helps out at the shop, and thanks to him, they've been able to stay open until today. Smiling, she adds that many people there also like him a lot, and that's why she wanted to repay him as much as she could. Embarrassed, Ayato says she's exaggerating, but Anna says, "It was Ayato who told me that. Maybe he let it slip." Smiling, the lady says it's the first time Ayato has brought a girl there, and now she's finally starting to understand everything. Ayato, completely embarrassed, says it's not what she's thinking, and asks Anna for help. Suddenly, a bracelet on Anna's wrist starts to shock her, and she begins to feel a lot of pain. Ayato, very worried about her, asks if she's okay. She says she has to go back as soon as possible as she can, only go out once a week, and is also forced to wear and return with that bracelet. "And if you cut her tongue again, what would happen?" Ayato asks. The startled lady asks, "Why would they cut that girl's tongue?" Embarrassed and still in a lot of pain, Anna says she has to go. Ayato asks her what her escape plan is and tells her to tell him, but Anna moves away from him, saying she doesn't need to involve him in this. "You're very kind," she says, "and that's why I want to protect you." The lady says she is a very good girl and begs Ayato to try to help her too. "Of course I'll do that," Ayato says. The scene changes. Ayato is going to meet the chief. He asks Kanzawa if he made them wait, but one of the men says there are people there before him waiting. At that moment, Shion arrives with his blonde henchman. He appears a bit unwell, but says not to worry, it's just pneumonia. Ayato thinks that this guy always appears at suspicious moments. Shion says the weather there is very cold, and that Ayato should take care of his health. He says he has just a slight case of pneumonia and asks if Ayato could lend him a hand. Ayato asks what he wants help with. Shion says he wants Ayato to go in his place to supervise the transport, as the movement is becoming very difficult for him, and he's also in charge of New Year's security. The blonde-haired man says the place Shion wants Ayato to go is the most important in the base, and asks if he can handle the responsibility. Shion says that since he's sick, he can only trust someone reliable like him. But Ayato thinks he's up to something. Shion gives him a card saying it's the maximum level access ID, and he'll need it to get into that place. The blonde-haired man doesn't like that Shion gave him the card, but with a malicious smile, Shion tells him to relax. Even if it's very dangerous, he'll find a way. The blonde man just says he understands. Ayato, remembering the old lady, thinks that she had said the surveillance was even tighter. He wonders if Shion is trying to involve him in something. He puts his hand on Shion's shoulder. "Trust me," he says. With a forced smile, Shion tells him to count on him. The scene changes to Ririto and the boy. Ririto says he finally understands. That's exactly why they were told to wait outside. "This was a very interesting meeting," he says. The little boy asks what they want them to see. Ririto says they'll see what Shion will do at that moment. They are observing two guys working. Ririto says he already knew. Shion has a habit of taking a bath at this time, but the little boy asks if he bathes in all this cold. The scene changes. Shion is smiling at Ayato, saying that with this, they are even with the past. Ayato thinks that, as he imagined, it was just a pretext for this. Ayato goes to talk to Ririto. He says that security has become lighter now, and all the guards who were on Shion's side are now on their side. But Ririto is very serious, observing everything. He says Ayato has shown him the limits of his actions, and that he already knew something would happen on New Year's Eve. Smiling, Ayato says that either way they will observe what's happening there. The scene changes to a muscular woman leaving a location. At that moment, Ayato approaches her very discreetly. He follows her, and they enter through a door. We see Anna using her healing power to cure someone's injuries. After healing the man, Anna asks if he could give her some food later. The man with a disgusted face says he understands. The scene cuts to Ayato observing everything from a distance with a tense expression. He recognizes Anna. Anna becomes curious. "Is this a car? What are you going to do with it?" Ayato asks if she wants to go for a ride. Happy and smiling, she says, "Of course I do." Ayato asks her if she knows how to drive. "Don't underestimate me," she says. A boy on the side asks where Anna is going at that moment, but Ayato, with a very cold expression, says it doesn't concern him. They get into the car and drive off at high speed. Anna says driving a car is amazing. Ayato says she's going too fast. He's going to throw up. Smiling, Anna asks if he's getting scared and steps on the accelerator even harder. She then asks how far the car could go with a full tank. Ayato just looks at her with a serious expression. He asks Anna if she's going to escape on New Year's Eve. Anna becomes hesitant and even stammers. Ayato wonders if this escape is a trap to frame him. Scared Anna asks if he thinks she's being watched or something. Ayato says that if she leaves there, she could be surrounded by chimeras and asks if she's willing to risk all that. Angrily, Anna says it's better than continuing to be used in that place and that she'll look for help in another sector. Seeing Anna's desperation, Ayato says he'll help her. "I'll protect you," he says, crying. Anna asks if he wants to use her too. Surprised and sad, Ayato asks, "Did you really think that of me?" Crying with her head down, Anna just apologizes to Ayato. He says he'll prepare everything for her so she can escape safely, but to give him some time to plan it. Calming down, little by little, she says, "It's okay." The scene changes to the camp at dawn. Anna tells an injured person to drink something twice a day. The man asks if he can really drink it. The scene changes to Xian and the chief. The chief says that someone asked them to cover for the guy. Xian says if he keeps acting soft, they'll end up reducing his share of the loot. The chief asks if he's not afraid of losing his position. Scared, Xian says that's not exactly it, but he acknowledges that he tries hard. The chief tells him not to worry as everything is fine with him and wishes Xian good luck as well. Xian starts to wonder if the chief isn't preferring Ayato over him. With a malicious smile, the chief thinks that if he wins Ayato's support, his position will be secured. At that moment, he sees Ayato helping Anna a little. The chief says he had never noticed it before, but Anna seems like a very kind woman. Xian asks if on New Year's Eve he wants to take her to his room and get her drunk, a very provocative statement. The chief just says that Xian is very quick. The scene changes to New Year's and everyone is celebrating with lanterns and toasting glasses. Meanwhile, Anna is drinking happily while Xian observes with a very suspicious look. The blonde-haired man says that Anna is always accusing Ayato of always taking the car to escape. Xian says that along with Ayato, he will leave this place, that God is on his side, and asks his henchmen to make sure to confront the chief tonight. Ayato tells the little boy to distract the guards while he goes to get Anna, and if anything happens along the way to let him know as soon as possible. Ririto and the boy say they understand. Anna is thinking about something Ayato had told her, that if the car leaves the residential area, it will attract all the nearby chimeras. But she shouldn't worry, because he will protect her. Hesitantly, Anna asks, "And if she leaves, will the chimeras attack them?" He just tells her to relax as he is there. It's shown that Anna is inside the truck drinking a lot. The scene cuts to Ririto and the others toasting outside. Ririto says that on New Year's Eve they will drink as much as they can to celebrate, but one of the guards says that if they overdo it, they will be penalized. Ririto says that Anna's current boss is actually Ayato, and Ayato is his best friend, so it's fine. The other guy just agrees, saying it's true. So Ririto says now it's time for them to celebrate as much as they can. The scene shows one of the soldiers pointing at a monitor saying that's Ayato's car. The other soldier says he followed the chief's orders. While driving, Anna thinks it's important to have something to protect. Suddenly, someone knocks on the car door, and she gets startled asking who it is. Ayato appears at the window, asking her what happened. Breathing calmly, Anna says she was just startled by him. She then asks Ayato how he appeared there if Kanzawa didn't call him. Ayato says he's relieved to know she's okay, and that Cheyenne should appear soon, so she should hide as quickly as possible. Anna tells Ayato to take care too. She puts her hand on the car door and becomes very scared. Suddenly, she feels her body getting very hot. Meanwhile, the boy Ron is looking at his cell phone saying that Shion has disappeared. He warns Ayato through his phone that Shion is probably coming. Ayato thinks it would be very bad if Shion saw him now and that he needs to go back quickly to call Kanzawa. He activates his power with a blue aura around his body and shoots off in a high-speed run. Ayato returns to Anna 30 seconds later. Still very out of breath, she says someone is coming. The scene cuts to Xian pressing a button on a door. He says that woman won't escape him again. When he presses the button, they look at the car. Xian wonders why it's Anna and where Ayato is. He tells his henchman that Ayato must be nearby and to get Anna. But the chief says to Xian, "You left without permission again." Xian is shocked that the chief is there. Ayato had told the chief that many things have been disappearing from the warehouse lately, and he thought maybe the dogs knew something, so it was very difficult to get clues about it. He then says that there was the truck he mentioned. Anna says, "No, he came." At that moment, Ayato looks in the rearview mirror and wonders what the hell Anna is doing there. Xian slaps the car. "Why isn't this damn car opening?" he yells. Ayato grabs his arm. "There's already enough evidence," he says. But the chief tells Xian to open that door, otherwise they will be blamed as this could become evidence against them. Ayato asks the chief if he is trying to belittle him. Angrily, Xian points and says that Anna said she was driving that truck and asks if he heard that. Inside the car, Anna thinks that she can't escape at that moment, and there's really no way for her to get away. She picks up a knife and then we hear the sound of a blow with blood flying onto the camera. Kanzawa says they asked directly so they can confirm it's true. Anna, who was hiding, opens the blood-stained door. Xian is surprised by what he's seeing. Ayato approaches Anna, asking if she's okay. Anna tells the chief to arrest Xian as soon as possible. "He ordered me to use this truck to steal the materials," she says. Xian shouts, "That's a lie, you bitch." Desperate, he tells the chief he never ordered her to do that. "Do you have proof of that?" Kanzawa asks, since Anna's side has shown enough evidence against you, Xian. Trying to justify himself, Xian says they knew they were going to escape, so they put medicine in Anna's drink. Anna just watches this in silence. Ayato asks if she's okay and what kind of medicine it was, but Anna says she's fine. Xian says that if they want proof, there's proof inside that car. He opens the car door but becomes worried. "Where's the drink that was here?" he asks. At that moment, Ayato lands a powerful punch on Xian's face, calling him a miserable bastard. Anna just watches what's happening. She thinks that when she was in the car, she picked up a knife. She thought that if she were caught now and they found what Xian gave her, everything would be resolved. She had thrown the can out the window. Xian tells the chief that it wasn't just him who saw it, but all the guards, and that the escape plan wasn't his, it was actually Anna's. Anna says that even with an order, leaving on one's own is not allowed, and since the chief hadn't cut her tongue again, there was no reason for her to escape. Xian points at Ayato. He was responsible for security, so he definitely helped with Anna's escape plan. But Ayato just starts smiling at Xian's face, mocking him. Kanzawa asks if he finds this situation funny. Ayato asks if he really was responsible for security, and that the only one who keeps covering for his actions is him. He tells the chief that if he confirms this, he will understand as soon as possible. Anna says that even with permission, the door is not opened without the guard's authorization, and from the beginning, it was Xian who prepared all this. Furious with her, Xian tells her to shut up. He tells the chief that Anna and Ayato were trying to deceive him. But Kanzawa says that neither of them has definitive proof, so they will do something. At that moment, Ririto and Ron appear running. Ririto says he has enough proof. Ayato tells him he's been waiting all this time. Ririto says he had a lot of difficulty getting it. The chief asks if he's holding a camera. Ririto says they secretly installed a security camera there, all to capture Xian's actions. Xian says there's no way there's any suspicious recording there. Ayato then says, "You said she could only leave with permission, but then why did Anna leave?" Anna asks the chief, "How about these proofs now?" Kanzawa announces that Xian is suspended as of today. He will be suspended for 7 days. Xian is in shock and full of rage, asking why he is being suspended. The scene changes. Ron says that seeing Xian thrown in jail is very satisfying, but Ayato, lying down very relaxed, says it was only 7 days. "Xian is really very important to Kanzawa," he says. "But don't worry, I said I'll watch him closely." Ron asks if he can give him a few good punches discreetly. Anna then appears, saying she wants to go too. "I'll personally cut his tongue," she says, "and then I'll let it heal and cut it again." Ririto watches Anna's words with a scared expression, saying he's very afraid of this girl, but that he also wants to participate in this party. Tired Ayato puts his hand on his face, saying that if this continues, his reputation will be ruined. Ririto says that this time it was house arrest, and Xian's movement within the base was completely restricted. But Ayato says that this time it was just a warning for Xian, but his influence over everyone there has also been completely eliminated. For him to regain the chief's trust will take a long time. Ayato says he wanted to tell them something about supernatural powers, but Ririto tells Ayato he knows very well that he's level B. Ron and Anna are impressed that he's level B. Anna says it's the same level as Kanzawa, but Ayato says that in fact you could say he's almost level A. All of them who heard this were very impressed, and Anna couldn't even believe he was level A. Ron then hugs Ayato's leg, saying he'll follow him forever, calling him Master. Ririto says his movements have indeed become sharper. But why did he get so strong? All of a sudden, Ayato says that in short, his ability increases the aptitude and potential of people who are close to him, but this only works when he is truly motivated. Ririto says that seeing a middle school student with a level A ability, even if temporary, is a very rare thing. Anna says that level B or lower he could kill instantly. Ron says that if they are going to call him something, it should be someone capable of defeating even level B. Ayato then slaps Ririto, asking what he was talking about. He sits down for a bit and says he just wanted to live a peaceful life without hurting anyone or being hurt. But that year he was receiving the results of his university admission. He remembers passing the university and living a very peaceful and happy life. But suddenly a demonic beast appeared out of nowhere. The young Ayato wondered what was happening. Suddenly he saw the figure of a red-haired man in the midst of those beasts. They wondered who that man was. At that moment, this mysterious man says that he is a very strange subject and asks his chimeras to take him alive. The chimeras then kill everyone around Ayato. Filled with rage, Ayato rushes at that man. But the mysterious man says that he likes to meet interesting people like him again and just applies a blow with one finger to Ayato, throwing him against the wall and making the boy faint. Ayato says that at that time he hadn't awakened any power, so he couldn't do anything to protect himself or others. Smiling, he apologizes to everyone as he was reminiscing about the past. Ririto says that now he is with Ayato, so he doesn't need to worry about anything. But Anna wonders why she was trembling when she remembered all this. She remembers a hooded person taking a child who was asking for help. We see Anna running after that guy, asking him to release that child. But suddenly she trips and falls to the ground, and that man gets into the van with the child and kidnaps her. The child asks for help from Anna, calling her big sister. At that moment, Ron asks Anna what happened to her. Ririto asks if after hearing Ayato's story she got scared. Ayato says that this time, if she wants to collaborate with them and if she is also overcoming some of her traumas, she could count on them. They then raise their glasses and Anna says, "Of course I do." So they all toast, saying they will do this mission together. Unfortunately, there are no more chapters of this work, but if you want the continuation here, leave many likes and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the continuation.